Hi there, my name is Parker Beal, and this is The Last Few Years, a web series about women's fashion from the past century and how gender roles, current events, and societal expectations play into the way that women present themselves to the world. While 80s fashion was all about materialism and drama, 90s fashion was about being low maintenance. Casual is the perfect way to describe all of 90s fashion. Everything was a lot more casual as grunge fashion and minimalism became more popular. In this decade, we also see the rise of supermodels becoming household names. Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, Cindy Crawford, and Kate Moss are still all incredibly famous. Kate Moss is probably considered the ultimate it girl of this decade due to her slender figure, characteristic eyes, and charismatic attitude. She's very similar to Twiggy from the 60s. Sportswear from the 80s, like leggings and canvas shoes, flowed over into the early 90s. Other styles from past decades saw a revival, like the miniskirts of the 60s and flares from the 70s. Vintage clothing became especially desired during this decade with grunge fashion. High-waisted baggy jeans, Doc Martens, and flannel were all staples. Grunge was meant to look unkempt. Grunge fashion was a reaction to the economic upswing of the 1980s. Many young people didn't like the fact that they would one day be defined by the career they chose. They also didn't like the effects that capitalism had on society. Grunge was the personified disdain of conformity. It was also all about individuality and wearing vintage clothes to be more earth-conscious. Many people that participated in grunge fashion rejected consumerism and capitalism. In the mid-90s, popular styles began to be more feminine. Slip dresses worn over plain white t-shirts were popular, and matching plaid sets were made desirable by Clueless and Britney Spears' Baby One More Time music video. Cropped sweaters, plaid miniskirts, baby cropped t-shirts, and knee-high socks and platform Mary Janes completed this look. The makeup and hair of the 90s didn't really differ depending on the style that you dressed in. The eyebrows, eyes, and lips were parts of the face that were mainly focused on. Eyebrows were dark and defined and were either well plucked or bushy and natural. Eyeshadow was smoky and in shades of brown, purple, green, and blue. Cut-eye eyeliner was also super popular. Lips were usually defined by a liner pencil with a lighter shade on the inside of the lip. Popular shades were apricot, brown, purple, and red, and also very berry colors. The base makeup was supposed to be kept light and fresh in contrast to the eyes and lips. Hairstyles in the 90s were still incredibly popular today. Butterfly clips, pixie cuts, and flipped out ends were all super popular. Certain hairstyles were popularized by different celebrities and fashion icons, like the Rachel, popularized by Jennifer Aniston. Some other popular styles were a clipped undo with two single pieces of hair pulled out to the front. Julia Roberts' back comb curls and Mariah Carey's curly fringe were two curly icons of the 90s. My outfit is lightly inspired by the grunge trends of the 1990s. I have on a pair of baggy jeans that I thrifted with a crop t-shirt from the 90s that I got off of Etsy. This shirt has a colorful pattern on it that wouldn't have been particularly popular in the grunge scene, but was popular for people that weren't in the subculture. I'm also wearing a pair of Doc Martens and a grommet belt. I also have on some jewelry that is 90s inspired by this awesome ethically run company called Tunnel Vision. My makeup and hair are very 90s. My hair is in the classic clip with antenna bangs and a middle part. My makeup is also very classic 90s. My base is super natural, only using a small amount of concealer and blush. My eyebrows are brushed out and bushy, and I have a light layer of green eyeshadow lightly blended into my winged eyeliner that was drawn on with a black pencil. I have a very thick amount of mascara on both my upper and lower lashes, and my lips are deep glossy berry shade popularized by Drew Barrymore. To some, the 90s were considered the prime time of feminism. For others, that's a complete contradiction. The 90s were a period of girl power and sex positivity, but most of that girl power was made for white girls, and sex positivity was pushed from a very young age. The media demeaned women who came out about sexual assault, and advertisements and magazines advertised consumerism as feminism. Of course, the 90s weren't all bad for women. In this decade, Congress passed the Violence Against Women Act in 1944. There were a lot of new female and WOC political leaders, and women dominated pop culture. Again, most of these women faced awful reactions to them just simply existing. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright was seldom referred to with her title and was almost always just called Madeline. Strong female characters had hate clubs and hate club paraphernalia. Although the 90s masquerades itself as a feminist time period, it is mostly undeserving of that title. Thank you for watching this video in the last few years series. In the next episode, our second to last one, we will be discussing the 2000s and Y2K fashion. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you would like to watch my videos as soon as I post them, hit the notifications button down below. Thanks so much, and I can't wait to see you next time.